Howdy crew! In this video we're going to be doing some more graphing of functions, but this time we're going to use our calculator to help us. Now I have our notes from the last lesson. Here they were. And what we had to do is we had to calculate all of these y values by hand. And that took a lot of time and energy. Now we do have a graphing calculator to use, and it's called a graphing calculator for a reason. It can do all of that hard work for us, and I'm going to show you how it works today. So before we start, there's 5 things we need to know about graphs to make sure we make perfect graphs every time. It's so important on the Regents to get these graphs correct that I take a lot of time to go over it. First thing we need to do is label our axes. So for example, sometimes we need to label them with an x and a y to remind ourselves. Sometimes we need to label them with numbers. This one's already labeled for us. Second, we need to type the function that we're asked to graph into y equals in our calculator. So for example, this function that we're asked to graph is x squared minus x minus 2. So in my calculator, I'm going to go to y equals. That's this button up on top. And I'll clear out whatever stuff is in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the function that I have. In this case, x squared minus x minus 2. X squared minus x minus 2. This button here below mode with x, t, theta, and n, that's your x button. Do not use any other thing for x. Then what we're going to do to get a table, take a look along the top row here. This button here, graph, if you push graph, it will show you what that picture is supposed to look like. In this case, it's going to be a U shape. If you want a table to give you some points, hit second graph. See where it says table up there in blue? That will give you a table that you can use to get all of your points. Now, I did that ahead of time, and I got this table. I got this table that I copied down here. So once you have your table there, all you need to do is plot the points, like we had practiced in the last lesson. -2, 4, -1, 0, 0, -2, 1, -2, and plot all the points like so. Once you have that, you absolutely would want to connect the dots. And you see how this graph is U-shaped, is curved, so I want to make sure that it is not straight lines in between them. Then, the next thing is check your domain. It doesn't tell me anything about the domain, what the x values have to be, so don't have to worry about it for this one. But the next question, does my graph need arrows? That's an important question to ask. If I go back and kept scrolling, those numbers go on forever. So I need to show on my graph that the numbers go on forever. And to do that, we put arrows on the end. This graph goes on forever. I need to show it does. Last thing is label it. I'm going to label it with the name that it gave me, which was, in this case, f of x. Your graphs always need labels. If they do not have labels, it is wrong every time. Make sure you put that label on there. Second one I have for you is right here. And again, I'm asked to graph this function. Now this has an absolute value in it, and I'm going to show you how you can get the absolute value bars. But what's important to note is this bit right here. It says graph it on the interval from -4 to 4. So what that tells us, we will not type this into the calculator. That won't go in. But what we will do is it'll tell us where to start our table and where to stop. So what I did is I said, we're going to start our table at -4 and stop the table at +4. Tells us a start and a stop. So then what I can do is go to my calculator. I'll go to y equals, clear out whatever is in there, and then I'll type in the function I have. In this case, 2 times x plus 2 in absolute value minus 5. So here's how we do that. There's the 2 out front. To get absolute value, we will do second, 0, enter. That ABS you saw was absolute value. X plus 2, I use the right arrow to get out of it, minus 5. Again, I'm going to push graph in order to see a picture. This time it'll look like a V. And then I will do second graph to get my table. Now remember, the question, in this case, the question told us, hey, I need to start at -4 and stop at +4. So what I'm really looking at is this table right here. I've already got it for you most of the way. And it's always a good idea to copy that table down, starting at -4, stopping at +4 in this case. Okay, from here, all you got to do is plot those points once again. So -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -3, -3, -2, -5, and plotting all of our points like so. Now in this case, again, I see that these, it kind of looks like a check mark with those straight lines. So I will need to connect those dots with straight lines, certainly. Like so. And we're going to deal with arrows in just a minute. But there's my straight lines connected. Now the question is, does this graph need arrows? And this is a question you should always ask yourself. And the answer to this one is no. And here's the reason. It's actually given in the question. That -4 means start here. The +4 means stop there. If I put arrows, that would mean that that graph is going forever, and it's not. I have to start at -4, stop at +4. If you go beyond, you're giving more information than the question wants, and you're going to get it wrong. What you do need to do, though, is label your graph with g of x, the name it gave you. So if it tells you an interval, you better not have arrows on the end, because it's telling you where to start and where to stop. If it doesn't tell you, though, check your graph and see if arrows should be there. Nice job.